Hello and welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. And today we are at the Canadian Mist Distillery.
I'm standing here on a scale where all the trucks come in and they are being weighed for their grain. And before the grain is unloaded, we have this arm here that takes probes on several points inside the truck. And then the grain is transported to a small house where the quality of the grain is determined. And then the grain is released and is ready for production.
And here we see one of these 18-wheeler trucks that unloads a load of corn, and that is transported in an underground conveyor into these tanks. Here they will be stored, and then if necessary they are brought into the cooker and then later fermented into the distiller's beer.
I'm here at the fermenters, and Canadian Mist has 20 fermenters with a volume of 60,000 liters. And all the fermenters are stainless steel with lids on top, so there's no CO2 released into the atmosphere or into the room. And all the CO2 is collected on top and then processed further. So the fermentation takes 3 to 5 days. That depends on which product we're producing, because different grains take different times to ferment. So after the fermentation is done, the beer is ready to go into distillation.
Unfortunately, the Canadian law is very strict and we are not allowed to film the column still. We're now standing on top of the building and having a look around in the beautiful weather, and we're just seeing the Georgian Bay of the Lake Huron in Northern America. We're just above the border and not far from the USA, and this is what they call the Lake District. After the distilling has been done, the raw whiskey is ready, and here in these tanks the blending takes place. Here the master blender puts the different kind of raw whiskey together and blends them to have a suitable taste for the Canadian Mist brand. After the blend has been done, the whiskey is barreled into oak casks that have been used before, and then we continue to the maturation inside the warehouse.
I'm standing here in the warehouse, and as you can see, the barrels are stored in upright position, and that means the bunghole is sealed and drilled from the top. Canadian Mist is part of the Brown-Forman family, and that means these barrels come from Jack Daniels. And Canadian Mist takes great care of the barrels, and that means they mark every barrel for how often they used it, so you don't overuse the cask, and you get a good flavor out of it. What they also do in a different warehouse is they heat cycle, so you get cycles during the winter, and the barrel can breathe more and take more of the wood flavors into the whiskey, so you have your good Canadian Mist flavor.
The finished whiskey is not bottled here in Collingwood, Ontario, but in Louisville, Kentucky, where the main plant of Brown-Forman is.
So I'm sitting here with John Bracken, and you have been with Brown-Forman for 8 years, and you're a brand ambassador, and you've been in the drinks business since 1996, so great experience there, and thank you for having us.
It's really our pleasure. Welcome to Collingwood.
Thank you very much, and yeah, so what are we having today?
Okay, we've got 3 wonderful Canadian whiskeys.
Mm-hmm.
Much different, but just like we taste wines, we're going to taste them from lightest profile to the more robust.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we will start with Canadian Mist.
Mm-hmm.
Canadian Mist has been made right here in Collingwood, Ontario, since 1967.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, back then it was owned by the Barton Distillery from Kentucky.
Okay.
And Brown-Forman bought the plant and the brand in 1971.
Mm-hmm.
So we've owned it ever since. Brown-Forman, there are other companies that own the marketing and sales rights.
Mm-hmm.
Brown-Forman does not operate like that. We buy everything. We buy the distillery, the plant, the brand. So we're happy to say.
And I've seen you're doing everything from grain to the finished product.
To packaging, to bottle design, to marketing efforts, everything. Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's a good thing.
Well, that's our strategy. So what we do is we want to check the clarity and the color. Some very nice caramel tones. Now, unlike wine, you don't need to swirl. Okay, wine needs oxygen to oxygenate and breathe and open up.
Mm-hmm.
Whiskey does not. Okay, so if you would like to, though, you may get a better nose because it will coat the sides of the glass.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it'll also allow you to look at the legs.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bad thing to look at legs.
Yeah.
And but really, that just is a measure of sugar content. Okay, whether the speed, the thickness of the legs, but when we're smelling, we don't want to jam our nose in there.
Yeah.
You're going to get overwhelmed with the alcohol vapors. So you want to keep your mouth open, and we just want to take some short, quick scents. Okay, you want to pass it under?
I got a lot of caramel.
Yes. Lots of caramel. Maybe some vanilla.
Yeah, a bit. But some... I'm not sure what it is. A bit of fruity nose, but it's a sour fruit. Maybe it's
Like a sour cherry?
sour cherry or what. I think I have a bit of citric in there.
Well, the great thing is there's no wrong answer.
Yeah.
So, and I'm glad you're very in tune with your palate. Not a lot of people are, but obviously with your background you are, so it's terrific. Now, I don't tell people how to drink their whiskey, but what I do say is the tip of your tongue is where the sweet sensors are, the side is salt and sour, and the back is bitter. Okay, so we've all seen that guy or that girl take a shot and then give you the whiskey look.
Yeah.
Now that's because it went right to their tannin receptors, and all they tasted was the bitter tannins in here. This is matured in oak for 3 years.
So,
Okay, a minimum. So we know there's a lot of tannin. So although I won't tell you how to drink your whiskey, I will just suggest that the first introductory, couple of sips are just eyedropper amounts. It's going to be zesty and it's going to be prickly, and that's the alcohol. The first one. The second one, I would ask or suggest that you take a larger mouthful, cover all of your tongue, and that will truly allow you to taste some of the caramels and the toffees and the wonderful dried cherries that we've tasted. Okay, so the first one.
how much ABV are we looking at?
This is 80 proof or 40%
ABV.
alcohol by volume.
Okay.
Yes. So cheers. Welcome to Collingwood.
Cheers. Thank you very much. Glad to be.
Okay. So eyedropper amounts, actually quite smooth for the first sip. The second one will really, now that your palate is used to there being straight alcohol, the second sip will show much more of the true flavors of the spirit. Okay. There's that caramel that we smell.
Oh, I get it more in like a bit of a honey tone.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it.
So, the barrel, when we talk about flavors, especially with Canadian whiskey, but even more so with bourbon whiskey, is the significance of the barrel.
Yeah.
Okay? The barrel, I'll give you an analogy. I'm not sure if anyone has already, but the barrel is like a tea bag. So that first cup of tea, it's dark in color, it's rich in flavor, it's bold. Okay, to me, that is bourbon or American whiskey. Okay, take that tea bag out, make another cup of tea. It's still tea,
Yeah.
but it's lighter in profile, not as complex, not as flavor, but it's still tea. Or in this case, it's still whiskey.
Still whiskey.
It's still whiskey. So it does not say or mean it's not as good, but it's a lighter, gentler profiled whiskey. Okay?
Yeah, the bourbon is I wouldn't say harsh because they're also very smooth. Like the Tennessee whiskey is also very, very smooth, but they have more front on the palate. Where with your whiskey you have, I would say, a bit more complex. You also sometimes you get it in a bourbon, that fruitiness and honey notes and stuff. But with yours, it's coming up more a bit directly, I would say.
But easy to drink. Okay? It's not nearly as complex or robust. Maybe that's a better word, as Tennessee whiskey or bourbon whiskey. Yeah. And not a long finish. Okay? It's very quick, very gentle. Now, Canadian Mist, much like other Canadian whiskeys, are more known for being mixers. Okay? Either a whiskey sour or a whiskey and Coke or a whiskey and ginger ale.
Okay.
Okay?
And I've heard that you use a lot of malted barley in there. Is that like your thing, that you want to focus a bit more on the malt side of the whiskey? Because usually I had more corn whiskeys now.
Yes. Well, this is, make no bones about it, this is primarily corn.
Primarily corn.
Oh, yes. Corn is very starchy, so we know it yields a lot of alcohol, and we know it's very sweet. So some of those sweet notes that you tasted, that is the corn. You know, when we talk about malted barley, we're talking about cereal grains. We're talking about, you know, you mentioned it earlier, like the different nuances and flavor profiles of a Scotch.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, I refer to that as old world whiskeys. To me, old world whiskeys are they're more grain forward.
Yeah.
New world whiskeys, North American whiskeys, Canadian and American, are more about the barrel. What can that barrel do?
So I would say it's you have more of an influence with the Scotch. The Americans are very focused on their corn, and you're like, I don't know, I would say like in the middle.
Yes.
So you have that influence from the corn a lot, but you also have the influence from the malted barley
and the
from
rye,
the Scotch side.
That's right.
Okay?
Yeah,
Good.
and the rye is what's going to give our whiskey those spicy notes. Okay. Okay. Now, Collingwood was just developed in 2011 from Chris Morse, who you've met.
Yeah.
Now, Collingwood is a similar blend to Canadian Mist. However, the finish is different, and you're gonna smell the difference, and we're certainly gonna taste the difference. What Chris decided to do was how to embark and introduce a toasted maple flavor to the whiskey, but we know the maple barrels leak.
Okay.
It's just it's more porous, and it's not as tightly bounded as oak. So there's a challenge. What do we do? So what Chris thought of is taking, you know, we obviously learned the hard way and made maple barrels and found out it leaks. But if you rip those staves out and disassemble the barrels and just toast the maple, okay, not charring it, but you need to toast it to wake up those conjugars and those flavor esters, okay? And then you drop in the maple staves into your whiskey and let it steep like tea. You end up with a much different whiskey.
So you have the maple. Is the flavor like maple syrup, or?
Well, you tell me.
Okay.
Yeah, let's smell this.
How many ABVs and how many years about?
It's still a minimum of 3 years maturation, and it is again 40% or 80 proof. Okay. Now you can see a slight color difference.
So we're looking at a similar whiskey to the Canadian Mist, but with the exception of the maple additive maturation.
Toasted maplewood mellowed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
So we're looking at, a different matured whiskey.
I would say a different finished whiskey.
Finished.
Yeah.
So you start off with the normal maturing, and then you change the barrel, or how do you do that?
We, in our blending vats, we would introduce the toasted maple wood. Okay. And again, like as I mentioned, we would let those maple staves steep in the blended whiskey, and it just gives it a different finish. Yeah.
Okay.
And if it's not apparent on the nose, boy, it is quite apparent on the palate. And if you'd like to try it and then go back, I really suggest you do, because they are considerably different. Much different. Different mouthfeel. Everything.
Very interesting. I definitely taste something different, but I can't quite put my finger on it. It's
Maybe the second sip will make it more predominant.
it's the aftertaste. I think it's the finish, that it's almost a bit sticky, I would say.
Yeah.
But it's not like it's not that straight sweetness. It's more soft feel in my mouth.
Like a biscotti or a graham cracker. Do you have that in Germany? Like the base of a cheesecake.
Oh, okay.
Is graham wafer with butter and sugar.
You could say that. Yeah.
To me, I get graham wafer, but
It's for me. It's a different mouthfeel.
it's
It's a reminder for me. It's a reminder of, I would say, apple, but
Yes.
I'm not sure if that fits in there well.
very much so. And even if you search deeper, to me, it's almost more like a green apple, not like a red delicious. Like it's different. Because when you talk about apples as a taste profile, I like to make people think further. Like, is it a green apple? Is it a red apple? Is it a candy apple? Is it a baked apple? Like apple pie is different than biting into an apple. So let's explore that.
That's
To me, it's a green ripe apple. Like but also there I get floral notes too. Like maybe even a bit of rose petal. Search for that. Yeah, if you can find that.
If you look for it,
I know,
you find it.
I know.
But if you go straight in, you just have I know that smell. But I can't say it right now. I know that smell. I can't put it together.
Yes.
But if you have someone saying it, yeah, that's it.
No, I hear you. Even and when we taste Jack Daniels, a lot of people can't pick it out, but they're like, I smell something, and I say, bananas? They go, yes, bananas. But they never think of bananas with whiskey. But, as you probably know, there's 5 sources of flavor, whether it's the water, or the yeast, or fermentation, or the grains, or the oak, or the maturation. Like those are the 5 sources. So that flavor has to come from one of them.
Yeah.
The banana comes from the yeast.
Banana comes from yeast.
Yeah.
Now that you said banana,
Now you get a bit, yeah.
But
it's funny. It's not a green banana. It's like bananas Foster.
yeah,
It's bananas that's been
bit
caramelized and browned in butter and maybe some rum. So
yeah, butter's in there as well. That's like what you think is the dough thing on the cheesecake down there.
the graham wafer bottom. Yeah.
For me, that's a reminder of butter.
It's a very, very gentle, beautiful whiskey, though. And then if you'd like to go back to the Canadian Mist, just to really articulate the difference, I recommend it. If you'd rather not, I understand.
It's strange that I have so much different fruits in here with and the butter and stuff, but this smells more with more sweetness and going in. Strange though. So you've chosen a square bottle for that. Wait, that's the one, but also square bottle. But it looks quite nice.
A very handsome package.
Okay.
Very masculine. And to be perfectly honest, it's a bit of a curse. Whenever people see this, they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's a beautiful package."
They don't want to open it.
They don't want to open it.
Oh
so
no!
It becomes a trophy on their back.
But they don't know how great it is in there.
So when we go to spirit and whiskey shows and we sample it, people they taste it and they go, "Oh my God, it is smooth."
Yes, we have that problem sometimes too. That they said, "Oh yeah, I've been to that whiskey and I have that bottle in my cabinet, and finally now I know how it tastes because they tasted it."
I got it for Father's Day 3 years ago, and I never opened it. And they're like, "Yeah," we're like, "Open it."
Yeah. So whiskey is for. It is for enjoying.
That's
okay,
right.
Sometimes people like to collect it. It's fine as well, but it's meant to be enjoyed.
Please, with friends,
Yeah, definitely.
So I will say this. It is not by mistake that we have saved the best to last.
Okay.
Okay, so I do need to tell you about this.
It says rye. Okay.
Yes. So now, Canadian laws are very loose. There are loose standards, I would say, when directly compared to American standards, which are, to be called rye whiskey, you need at least 51% rye. Not the case here. I have seen, and it is not illegal for 100% corn whiskeys to be called Canadian rye whiskey.
Okay.
There is no one and no law that says you cannot do that.
Oh,
Okay?
that's a bit a bummer when you buy it and you think you got a really spicy one and you get corn whiskey. You're like, oh.
I agree, but I'm not. I don't make the rules, but I agree.
Is the mash bill a secret here?
It is not. This is 100% rye whiskey.
So we have 100% rye whiskey.
We have 100% rye whiskey.
I'm reading 21 years old.
21 years old. So there's a bit of a story like there is with a lot of whiskeys. So
I would have guessed that it's an older one.
Judging by the color, it is amazing color.
Yeah.
And when we don't often see that in Canadian whiskeys, a lot of, like I mentioned earlier in the tasting, Canadian whiskey is primarily known for a mixer. This is a whiskey and Coke, whiskey and ginger ale.
I don't think I would mix that one.
Thank you. Yeah, this is a special occasion whiskey. This is whiskey that was laid down around 1990.
Yeah.
Okay.
21 years, so 1990.
Yes, and now we've had different master blenders since 1990 and 2010. Okay. So the last recorded documented verbiage we have on this whiskey was from the year 2000, and at that point, the flavor profile said was non-favorable. Okay, that's a fancy word of saying it didn't taste good.
Okay.
Okay, so and as you've seen, you've been to other Canadian distilleries. You know, in Canada, some of our whiskeys are 100% rye, fermented and distilled and matured separately for blending purposes. So that's what this was. Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's exactly what this was. It was we did an experiment of some sort. Perhaps it was to be blended. We don't know. But our master blender had moved on, and Chris Morris, who you know and met at Woodford Reserve, is our current master blender. However, the plant had a new manager, plant manager, of the name of David Dobbin.
Okay.
So when David came on board, he was touring the facility, and he saw some very old barrels. As you've seen, most of our barrels are fairly new.
Yeah.
He saw some very old ones. So, of course, he was inquisitive and he asked, what are these? The answer was, I don't know. So we better find out. The boss is asking questions. So this is 2010 at the time. Okay, and so we look up, and the last documented verbiage said non-favorable taste profile in the year 2000.
Mm-hmm.
But we knew they were laid and put in barrels in 1990. So 10 years after the non-favorable taste profile, well, let's try it. Okay, drill a hole. Let's taste it. Whoa, magic. Okay, so from year 11 to 20, magic happened, and that's maturation.
Yeah, it just needed some time.
Oh my goodness. So there was some, to be perfectly transparent, there was some internal debate.
Okay.
What do we do with the whiskey? Do we sell it, to a competitor for blending?
Depends on how much you have.
52 barrels.
52 barrels.
That's it.
Okay.
Okay.
So-
And after 21 years, there was considerably more angel share. So the barrels were,
52 barrels are not 52 barrels after 4 years and after 20 years. It's not the same amount.
correct. So we're talking quite a bit of angel share. So we're talking, 30 to 40% evaporation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But
We've got 60 to 70% capacity of 52 barrels. And what do? Do we call it Canadian Mist Rye? Collingwood at this point is a young brand.
mm-hmm.
So do we call it Collingwood 21-year-old rye when Collingwood has only been around for, 3 years?
Yeah.
So there was some internal debate. But clearly a decision was made that we've got a more premium Canadian whiskey. We've got a more premium package. Let us come out with a line extension for Collingwood, and it is 100% pure. At this time, it's another year's gone by, so now it's 21-year-old, 100% rye.
Okay.
So bam,
I'm
we come
very
out.
excited about it.
So and then of course we've got limited quantities. So only 5,000 cases go to Canada. The same amount goes to America, and it gets dispersed.
So so we're looking at a limited edition. We're not
No,
having.
this is no longer for sale.
Oh, okay.
This is gone.
Okay.
This is like there's a few cases here, but this is gone. It is no longer for sale. Last year in 2014, this whiskey, right in front of us, won the Canadian Whiskey of the Year. Okay, and of course, everyone went out to find it, and
Okay.
it is gone.
It is gone.
It is gone.
That's a pity.
It
Hopefully, you have some forgotten barrels in your warehouse.
Maybe we have some for Whisky.com, but really,
Yeah.
this is truly a special occasion.
Yeah. you
Whiskey
very
is for drinking on special occasions, but really, because there is no more for sale, this is truly for special occasions.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to have your first dram with you.
Thanks.
So cheers.
Thank you very much.
Or do we say on Prosit?
Unpause
Much different.
I got a lot of dried fruit. I got that earlier, just having it like here.
I know.
But it's darker. I'm not sure if that.
Okay, now
is
remember,
chocolate or
same barrels.
same barrels.
Same barrel. So this is but completely different grain recipe. Matured 7 times longer. So this is
7 times.
yeah. So this is 3 years compared to 21.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I
amazing.
like the very old ones,
Yes.
and I'm excited because I also like the rye ones because it has a bit more kick in it, bit more.
Completely
punch.
different taste profile.
I'm excited how the rye comes out. If you still have the spiciness, or if the years mellowed it out. So that's how
Time
it's
will
right.
tell. Yeah.
Very smooth. But now comes a bit of that rye kick.
There's a very clear entry, middle, and finish.
Yeah.
You know, whereas maybe the previous two were a little lighter in profile. This is making a statement.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Still.
it's more where you have the fruitiness with like the bananas and a bit of the citric note in here.
Yes.
Now, yeah, I'll have the dried fruit. Yeah, I have
And
the,
lots of grain.
Um,
Okay, lots of rye. Maybe some baking spice, cinnamon, coriander.
I get the grain more
Mm-hmm.
in the back, but I have to say it's a bit. I like bitter note in the back. I have. Okay. I like the how it starts with all the dried fruit, and then there comes the spiciness. That is just amazing how that is the development.
Yes. It is quite wonderful, and honestly a treat.
Great whiskey. Great whiskey.
So smooth again.
You can easily keep up with the older scotches. You can easily keep up with that.
Yeah.
But it's cool that you have that rye in there. I like it.
Yeah.
That's what I didn't think when I came to the States, that you have the bourbon and then you have the Jack that is mellow,
Yeah.
and you forget that you also have the rye that has that contrast to that mellow and caramel vanilla bourbon. So you have that.
And even polar opposite to a wheated bourbon, like Maker's Mark, which we knew
Yeah.
they don't have any rye, and they added wheat.
Yeah, that's their thing. That's
Yeah.
the great thing about whiskey. You have so much variation.
Yeah.
You can. It's not getting boring like when you have the vodka and you're like, okay, and then yeah, that's vodka for you.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So,
The master distillers are having so much fun right now. It's a really fun time to be in the whiskey business. To be
Yeah,
quite honest.
what I think is very, very cool is that you have the traditions, how to do it, and you have that all around. But you always you can find new ways to make it, like the Sinatra Select, and and different other things. So and if you just keep with the rules, with the traditions, then you just find some barrels like you found here, like, oh, we have them barrels.
I know.
we forgot 50
Yeah.
barrels. What we do with it? That's cool that you have that variation.
Some of it is planned, and isn't it amazing? Because it is just science.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, so imagine a spirit that did not taste favorable after 10 years, and then
Yeah.
fast forward another 11, and you get this
Yeah.
amazing spirit.
I like it how you can have different approaches as well. Like
Matt, are you able to try a bit? Because it is unbelievable. Yeah.
okay, so
Okay.
you have something prepared for us for mixing as
Yes.
well. So then let's switch to that.
Very good. So there's crackers here if you'd like to clean your palate. There's water, feel comfortable. But in Canada, I mean, we're very hospitable and friendly. And I would just, in part to understanding the science behind it, and the different, what the flavor contributions of fermentation and distillation and maturation go behind the other, part of the business, which is the on-premise or the on-trade or the restaurant bar business. And although maybe it's only 15 or 20% of our business, think about the emotional connection people make with brands when they're drinking.
Yeah.
Because when you go to we have liquor stores here. I don't know how it is in Germany, but when you go to a liquor store, there's no emotional connection. Like it's sterile. There's shelves. You are just looking at prices. You can't smell it. There's no boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
There's no music. You're just, But when you go to a bar, and there's, you're with friends, and there's camaraderie, and there's music, and there's
You can try that. That is the cool thing about it.
Yeah.
You have the like, yeah, I'll take a glass of that one.
That's it.
You can spend $5 or $10
that's right.
for.
You don't have to
for a drink.
spend $30
Yeah.
or $50, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I am very invested on the mixology and cocktail side of the business. So that's
Okay.
what we will do. We will make a Canadian old-fashioned.
Old-fashioned.
Old-fashioned, okay.
That's great.
So, old-fashioned is traditionally base spirit, which in this case we'll use, of course. We're going to actually use the 21-year-old rye.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, just to further accent the tremendous flavors of that whiskey. And then we're going to use some bitters for this particular rye whiskey. I've chosen Fee Brothers Black Walnut Bitters and Bitter Cube Cherry Bark Vanilla. Why? Well, I've tried different, levels of all different sorts, and for me, this is just the one that I prefer.
Okay.
So you could make it 100 different ways, and perhaps you would make it differently. But for me, this is how we're going to do it. Okay. So this is a stirred cocktail. Okay, we're not going to shake it up.
Yeah, you don't have to shake if you don't have any milky contents, and you just have spirit and.
Well,
and
plus
some
two, after I make it and when we pour it, one would be full of bubbles and almost look like chocolate milk, versus a nice clear spirit suitable for drinking. So
Okay.
anyway, so here we go. We will start out with the Collingwood 21-year-old 100% rye. So it's 2 ounces. I like to do 2 dashes of each bitter. And to make this true Canadian, we've selected a maple syrup that is made locally. The traditional old-fashioned was made with a sugar cube. Okay?
So you exchange the sugar for maple syrup.
Correct.
Also very sweet, but
Very sweet,
got more flavor in it.
more flavor, more Canadian.
More
Okay,
Canadian.
yeah.
You have a Canadian old fashioned.
That's right. So that's what we've done here. And then when we stir this, part of it is to chill the spirit. Part of it is to blend all the flavors. But let's be honest, this is straight whiskey, primarily. So the other reason we stir is to dilute some of the spirit.
Yeah, you have a few dashes and a spoonful that's not much, so you have a lot of your whiskey, but
That's correct.
I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, very good. Very good. You will enjoy this. Okay, we're going to finish this with some orange garnish.
So we get a bit of zest going on there.
Oh yeah.
Okay, thank you very
Okay. So, this is the Canadian Old Fashioned, made with Collingwood,
Cheers.
21-year-old rye. Prosit.
much. I like it how it starts off with the with the citrus,
Yes.
and then you come into your whiskey. That's great.
And we've really played on the vanilla,
Mm-hmm.
toffee notes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're more predominant now. It's not nearly as strong, obviously, but a very good cocktail.
Yeah, I would have imagined it's stronger than.
Yeah.
I mean, you pulled in what is it, 3 dashes of the straight spirit, and
Yeah.
you just had a spoonful of maple syrup. So I would have thought it was
The secret to any good cocktail is balance.
balanced. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we got here. Yeah, very balanced cocktail.
Okay, that's.
One of my favorite cocktails. It's a classic. It's a classic.
Yeah, old fashioned.
3 ingredients. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Very
Yeah.
good.
Great for having us here.
Yeah,
Great,
man, it's been our pleasure. Honestly,
great
goodness.
drinks here.
Yeah. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, it's not open for visitors, but try the products. Look it up on our website. Yeah, thank you. And if you like this video, then please give me a thumbs up. Thank you and goodbye.